Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Heartlines, I'd like to say thank you for joining us for our second Fathers Matter networking event. My name is Nkosi Julia. I am co-facilitating with Olefile Masangane. We're both from Heartlines. Heartlines is a release and promotion, and I will be taking you through this first half of the session. And as soon as Oli joins in, I will hand over to him. Before I continue, is there anyone whose colleague is still in the waiting room that you'd like us to be aware of so we can let them in? Please do say so.
Yes, my colleague is in the waiting room.
What's their name?
Steph now.
Okay, we are letting them in. Awesome. Firstly, I would like to thank the Oak Foundation for making this event possible. Just to note that this session will be recorded and the link for it will be sent to you via email post this session. And we also have a survey we'd like you to complete on how you actually found the event. We'll share the link in the chat box towards the end of the session for you to access. Please also feel free to share your comments and questions in the chat box during the event. We'd really love to hear from you. And lastly, for more information on resources related to Father Matters and content, please do visit our website, which is fathersmatter.org.za. We'll also share that in the chat and in the emails that we'll send you post this session. At Heartlines, we have a research-based approach, which also means that we prioritize monitoring and evaluation. And to give more context to this event, fits into the objectives of Fathers Matter program, we would like to hear more from Candice Harrison, who's a consulting person from Singizi towards Heartlines for our monitoring and evaluation. Candice, I'd like to hand over to you just to share a bit more about that with us.
Good morning, everybody. I feel like I don't know who I'm talking to yet because we haven't introduced ourselves, but I'll just do this in the dark. So my name's Candice and I'm from Singizi Consulting Africa, and we are, my colleague Carmel Maroc is somewhere here, and we are a monitoring and evaluation. She's waving. A monitoring and evaluation organization. And we have been Heartlines evaluation partners since about 2017. So really, you know, our goals and aims as the evaluation partner are to support Heartlines, to reflect on their programming, reflect on their theories of change, and, you know, to support them to improve their products, improve their engagement, improve their programs. So the main reason that we here today just telling you about this is because we'd love to send you a little survey at some point, just to, you know, one of the things that we want as part of the monitoring and evaluation are these network meetings. And so we will ask for your permission to send out a survey at some point, and we'd be incredibly grateful if you complete that for us. And we may also conduct some interviews where possible connections arise that result in something else, and it's useful for us to track those. So that's all from our side, really. We don't want to hold the actual meeting up, but we're in the background observing and evaluating. Koma, I don't know if you've got anything to add.
No, just to thank everybody in advance for supporting the process. Thanks, Candice.
Thank you, Candice. Thank you, Kamal. Right. So thank you so much for sharing. So just before we get to introducing ourselves, we'd just like to share the purpose of us gathering today. And these are a couple of things that we would like to accomplish. We're hoping that we're able to connect today with like-minded organizations and also to find opportunities for collaboration. And then we hope those opportunities will help us grow the network of organizations in working with father-related issues. So the plan for today is for each of you to share a bit more on your organization. And obviously you'll cover the following questions as we have shared earlier regarding what does your organization do, who are your beneficiaries and why, and what are the lessons and gaps have been on your journey towards this, and also what ways do you want to connect, collaborate, and also grow with each other in 2021, possibly and beyond that. So today in the room, we have a number of organizations that are with us. So I'll let everybody just to introduce themselves one by one. So I will, Andile, if I can be able to see everybody, then I'll be able to call out and then just have everybody share that. So I'm going to go according to who's first on my screen down. I have Jenna Lee just there first.
Thanks. I'm Jenna Lee Stragnell, and I'm working on the project eCareser, which is part of the Center for Analytics and Behavioral Change.
Thank you so much, Jenna Lee. And next we have Andre.
Hi, I'm Andre Webster, and we're part of an organization called Sexuality Matters. And basically, we're just looking at a biblical worldview for sexuality and how we can really help fathers raise up sexually healthy children at the end of the day. And obviously, in the process, a lot of fathers have healing that needs to happen in their lives too. So that's us.
Thank you, Andre. Next, we have Cassandra. Cassandra.
Hi, morning everyone. My name is Cassandra and I work for Save the Children South Africa under the Child Protection Unit, where we work with parents, so mothers and fathers, including children. And thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Up next, we have Mitch.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name's Mitch and I work for Innovation Edge. We're an impact-first investor that focuses on investing in early childhood solutions that can impact the ECD space in South Africa.
Thank you, Mitch. Next, we have Tabang. You're on mute, Tabang.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm obviously not Tabang, but I am his colleague. He's going to be joining us a bit later on. So we work for an organization called Impact CSI. We are just a corporate social investment organization that seeks to assist children, especially boy children, with initiatives like psychosocial assistance and other related matters.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Grant.
Sanbonani from the Kingdom of the Zulus. My Zulu name is Begomuzi, which means housekeeper, and I'm looking after 2 houses today. I wear a hat, which is the non-profit company that I started with my friend Bongakile. We're very passionate about working with fathers, but I've been walking with a community in KwaZulu-Natal called Sweetwaters, and we are learning that the chief has asked us to raise up young Zulu men who are future role models for the next generation. So I'd like to share the story at some stage of what we're doing and how we're doing that in a traditional Zulu community. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Grant. I think we've covered everybody. I'm obviously noting that others are colleagues of organization, but Nicole, you can just say hi as well.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Delighted to be here. I'm Nicole Biondi, and I'm Mitch's colleague at Innovation Edge, and looking forward to learning from you all today.
Thank you so much. Steph, please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Steph, and I'm Jenny colleague.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Pamela, I left you last on purpose.
I thought I was being skipped. Everyone, my name is Pam. I am a project manager for Fathers Matter, and I guess you'll get to hear a little bit more around the work that we're doing much later as well.
Awesome. Now I'd like to introduce the team that I'm working with today. I'm going to mention we have Andile and Simone. They're in the background. Andile is doing our tech for us, and also Simone. You might just see Simone pop up in the chats more. And then we also have Jeff, who's also our colleagues at Heartlines. He's also one of our facilitators who's here joining us. And we also have Olifile Masangani. I'm just going to ask him to say hi before I hand over the ropes to him.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so sorry I got cut off the internet earlier due to power cuts in the area, so I'm glad I'm back online. Thank you.
All right, I'll hand over to you now, Oli.
Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, feels like I've been Speedy Gonzalez, so I had to get on the car and step on it, man. Picked up a couple of speed fines, so I hope I'll be fine. Okay, well, that sounded like a rhyme. Play on words. Colleagues, thanks so much for joining us. So good to see some familiar faces. Andre, welcome, man. So good to see you. So yeah, looking forward to hearing more about the work that you're doing and some of the new friends that I'm seeing online with us this morning. Yeah, my name is Ulifile Masangani, and I am facilitator at Heartlines, and it's such a privilege for us to be part of this journey of engaging men to become fathers, and even those who are not fathers, don't have children of their own, to become father figures in the lives of children. So the work that Pam and the team has done is actually quite phenomenal in terms of the research that was done and the back-end work. Now we're rolling out the campaign. It's really exciting. So we as Heartlines, we know that we're coming into a space that has been occupied by some of you guys for quite some time. So, and we just want to really salute you for the work that you're doing, and, you know, for us to bring some resources that will help facilitate these conversations and deepen the dialogue. So I'm going to get into the swing of things. It's not about us, it's about you. It's about us. It's about all of us in this space. So I'm going to follow the program as was followed by Julia in terms of presentation by organizations. You each have 5 minutes. Apparently, we're going to stay in the big group, and let's hope. Some of us have speech diarrhea, as you can tell. I can just go on and on. So we're going to have to really, really watch our time. So is Innovation Edge around? I wasn't here when they're talking, or maybe I was. Mitch Miller, is he here?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, Mitch, you're here. Oh, yes,
yeah.
You're here.
How's
you're
it?
Here. Lekker, man. So I'm going to hand over to you. And then followed by Wonderfully Made, and we'll just I'll then introduce others as we go. So please, over to you, and Andile will spotlight you, and yeah, let's hear about the work that you guys are doing.
Awesome, thank you so much. I am going to try to share my screen. If that is okay. It tells me the host is disabled. Participants sharing.
You can do it now.
Cool. Cool, can everyone see that? Great, thanks guys. Well, it's very, very great to be here and see you all and just be connecting with you all on this fine Wednesday. Thank you for that jazz in the beginning, it was really, really nice. Nice way to ease into the day. I'll move quickly because I know there's 5 minutes only. My name's Mitch, I'm the Marketing and Comms Manager at Innovation Edge. And what we do is we're an impact-first investor focused on solving early childhood challenges in South Africa. Our organization was founded in 2015. We've just celebrated our 7th birthday last week. We were founded by a group of global and local funders who really saw this kind of gap for an organization like ours. We actually found that there were very, very few funders willing to invest. A lot of funders want to invest in established organizations and programs that have there's not a lot of funding for the kind of. And secondly, there are very, very few resources dedicated to experimenting with innovation in the early childhood. And so the kind of sector is old school in their approach. They continue to use traditional methods. And there's not a huge amount of experimentation kind of going on in that space. And so Innovation Edge kind of sits in between both of these to fill this gap and to give early stage ideas a chance of success and really to trial and test new experimental, innovative solutions that have the potential to impact early childhood challenges in South Africa. Our mission is to support social entrepreneurs and organizations to work with them on developing, testing, and then launching their solutions to ECD challenges. And so the kind of aim or approach that we really want to help solutions get to the point where we can prove that they will have impact, that they have a pathway to scale, then hand them over to another organization and help them reach that point. De-risk an idea where a funder previously wouldn't take on a solution. We get it to the point where they can really back and believe in that solution and take it to scale. And the entrepreneurs and organizations that we support are kind of anyone and everyone, to be honest. You don't have to be from the ECD sector. We know that the best ideas come from unlikely minds and unlikely connections. So established entrepreneurs, kind of beginner entrepreneurs, people in nonprofits or for-profit companies. A lot of you in this room potentially are who we're looking for. So people who are with organizations who see an opportunity to develop or grow or test an innovative product or service. Yeah, so basically anyone and everyone, if you have an idea that's innovative, that meets our search criteria, and that ultimately can impact the children's lives aged 0 to 6, we're looking for you. So that's really our focus. I'll move quite quickly now about our lessons learned. Due to time, I'll be quite quick with this, but I'm just going to mention one, how you communicate matters. Maybe I'm mentioning this because I'm speaking from a comms perspective. I'm quite proud of communications and the need for it. Really the way you frame and package a program or solution can really make or break it. The best program in the world, have all the kind of evidence-based behind it, can achieve the most impact. Don't communicate or package that in a way that resonates and connects with your target audience. People aren't going to engage with it, they aren't going to use it, and it ultimately isn't going to make an impact. I'll give you a quick example. So we've worked with one of our investees is an organization called Ubebele, and they offer psychosocial support to one of the largest townships in South Africa. And they were communicating their support offering as kind of mental health support. Using kind of industry language, caregiver-infant relationships or circle of parenting, really struggling to gain traction and engagement from the community based on how they were positioning themselves and communicating. So we worked with them through a behavioral change framework. Really, after interviewing a couple of their staff and community, realized that mental health support was seen as only something for crazy people or white people. It's not for your average mother or father living in their communities. So we worked on reframing their package, their program, as the Vuna Parents Club. Vuna means harvest. Same program with pretty much a similar offering to what they were offering before. Packaged as a parents club. You wouldn't want to be part of a parents club. It's much easier to say than I'm part of a parents club than getting mental health support. And so yeah, we helped to kind of repackage their solution and their offering. It really started to gain a lot of traction. At the moment, it's really focused on moms, but they're expanding to fathers. And I think through this, we really see the kind of need to understand the cultural context of who you're communicating with before you package your program and how you communicate that program. So it's very obvious looking back now, but in the moment and kind of as you develop programs and create programs, how you communicate those and package those really makes a big difference to making the impact that you need. As I'll wrap up, we would love to connect with all of you. We have received some funding to support innovative solutions within fathering in South Africa. And later this month, actually, we're going to be inviting different organizations, like a lot of you in the room, who potentially could benefit from grant funding or grant test or trial a new service, expand your reach or test an assumption. We're really going to be putting out a call for ideas and applications later this month. So we will invite everyone in the room, but please look out for that and apply and maybe start thinking about what you could apply with. It'll be really great to see a lot of applications for that. And then we recently held a kind of online learning exchange with some international and national fathering organizations. And I'll pop the link in the chat, but we've gathered a whole lot of resources from that learning exchange, put it on a Google Drive link. So please, have a look at that, and then feel free to add your own resources. We'd love to view those, to connect with you, and ultimately to learn from you. But thanks so much to Heartlines for your time, and I'm done.
Thanks so much, Mitch. Quite interesting work that you guys are doing, and I'm glad to hear the invitation to a lot of organizations here to link up with you guys. Incredible work, and big ups to you and your team for what you're doing. Right now I'm going to transition to Andre Webster. Andre, tell us about the work that you guys are doing at Sexuality Matters. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Olufile. So good to be here, and so grateful that I have this privilege of being able to share. So we at Sexuality Matters, we really have found that in our experience of dealing with people in general, and especially believers, that there's a misunderstanding around sexual issues. And with the result of that, I studied sexology, and so we've put together a biblical worldview around sexuality. And so we really just want to inspire Christ followers to transform our over-sexualized world into one that is God-centered, all right? And to demystify a whole lot of misperceptions around it. Just to look at the problem in Africa at the moment, these are latest stats. You'll see on the right-hand side here that most males are not really willing to come forward with any sexual problems compared to females on the left-hand side. I think in general, we would understand that sexuality issues are often not spoken about. They are hidden, they are silenced, and that silence creates a whole lot of misunderstanding and beliefs which creates problems. And it's into this that we're really wanting to try and assist people in getting a biblical worldview and find freedom. If we look during the COVID-19 pandemic, over 243 million young girls have actually experienced some kind of abuse. And so, this is such a relevant topic, but we haven't found many people that are able to give a biblical worldview, but also with a scientific base of sexology. So that's where we position ourselves. What we do is we deal and try to create workshops just to help people find that biblical worldview and work through some of their struggles, because unfortunately in the world as it is today, there's not one of us that walks without some kind of sexuality limp, because our parents didn't really know how to cope with this, and so we seem to have perpetuated many beliefs that create problems in other people. So we do workshops for couples, singles, and specific age groups. We do raising sexually healthy 0 to 7-year-olds, which my daughter, who's an occupational therapist, helps me present. And then we do a raising sexually healthy adolescents workshop, which another lady who's a social worker helps me present as well. We also have freedom workshops where we look specifically at certain addictions and especially gender incongruences, and help people to understand how they can cope with this and find congruence by the end of the day. We have a real men discussion material, which Olefile has been part of, which I've been very grateful to. We haven't done much with this. It's something we're really wanting to work at, where we look at a biblical worldview over a certain issue, and then we discuss from different cultures how we have perceived things like sex and masturbation and nakedness and all those kinds of things, ending with a Bible study for men to do together. Obviously, we do counseling. We have an empowerment program where we are raising up facilitators and counselors. And if there's a problem we have, it's in this area. It's very difficult to find people that are actually willing to come along this journey, because it does include a bit of inner healing, but to become facilitators and counselors. And then we also do reach out to some prisons and things like that. I think I've got just a minute left, so I thought I'd just expose you to some of the things that we look at. Here we have the normal sexual cycle. And if we look at this, you'll understand that at the end there in orgasm, you have the release of oxytocin and vasopressin, which is actually an attachment hormone, which creates an attachment physiologically between people that have sex. As you can imagine, if this is happening all the time, people are constantly attaching all over the place. And it's to this that we speak when we often address fathers as well as young men, because when it comes to dealing with our sexuality, things like this are just unknown. And it's very helpful to make them aware of why certain sexual behaviors are not helpful and become unhealthy and unwholesome at the end of the day. And then when we've dealt with young adults, especially in church contexts, there has been a huge lack of understanding in terms of courtship and dating. And so we found many young men getting so excited about the fact that they can actually do on this diagram 1 to 7 without actually entering into any sexual activity. So I'm just highlighting the fact that the area of sexuality is one that has been so misinterpreted. It involves all of our feelings about our genitalia, but of course it's not just about our genitalia. It is affected by so many issues within our world: culture, religion, the laws of the land, our community, our society. And we've really, it's our prayer that we can somehow provide for anybody and any groups or organizations a biblical worldview around these sexuality matters. So if you want to get hold of us, we're at sexualitymatters.co.za. And if you want to speak to me personally, just get me at andre@sexualitymatters.co.za. Thank you, and that's me done.
Oh, in your face. Wow. If I was white, I would be blushing by now. Thank you so much. No, it's really important information there. Thanks so much, Andre, for the work that you guys are doing at Sexuality Matters. So I'm going to bring Jenna Lee Stracknell from He Cares. I've got 2 lists with me, but I think I may have forgotten to bring Jenna Lee. So over to you, Jenna Lee. I'm so sorry about this error on my side.
Thanks so much. Can you see my screen? Great.
Yes,
So thank you. I'm Jenna Lee Stracknell. I'm the project manager for He Cares, and my background is in psychology, narrative therapy, and peace building, where I focused on running workshops with men to prevent gender-based violence. And I've also done a lot of work running mother support groups with positive parenting. So I'm working for the Center for Analytics and Behavioral Change on the He Cares project, where we are using innovative tools to counter misogyny and gender-based violence at a large scale. So we brought together people from the advertising industry, from social media, from the tech world, from psychology, from conflict resolution, to really to develop new tools and methods and create a really innovative approach that can reach across South Africa and even be replicated in other countries. So what we do is we use social media listening tools to analyze the conversations on public social media. So we use literature reviews, desktop research, and our own knowledge of the field to create a list of keywords. We then, our analysts, we have a team of analysts, form a query in the social media listening tools, and we can pull up all the conversation around these issues and gain insights, which we then use to drive and shape our interventions. So just to give you some examples of what these social media listening tools can do, they can tell us the volume of the conversation over time, when there's spikes in the conversation, what caused these spikes, what is the reach and impact of the conversation. We can break it down into all different metrics: volume, gender, language. We can also see different themes in the conversation, so it's really well represented in a word cloud, and then pulls in all data around those themes, so we can see people's sentiments towards different issues and different topics. For example, around blessers or girlfriend allowance, or we can really see what are people talking about. We can also see the influences in the conversation. So who's having the biggest reach and the biggest impact in this conversation, which is important for the intervention work that we're doing. So as I said, all this research that we do then goes to shape our intervention. So it's really real time based on insights. And there's a wide range of different aspects to our intervention, but two of the pillars are dialogue facilitation and the production of content. So what the social media listening tools also allow us to do is to find men on social media who are speaking out against gender-based violence and saying we've had enough of this. Last year, when we were piloting this project and developing everything, we found 11,000 men that we send messaging to saying, we see you, we stand with you, and then we have the capacity then to drive resources directly to those people. And we invite them to come to our website where we have a skill kit with a range of dialogue facilitation tools. And then once they've gone through all of that, we also invite them to our Facebook group where we hold them in a longer term process. Our in-house dialogue facilitators facilitate conversations around social norms and misogyny and any topics that will come up in the space. These topics are also obviously driven by research and what people are speaking about. And through this, we also recruit more men, and we then encourage these change agents to go and dialogue online and offline to upscale and shift the narrative in this space. We also recruit change agents through sectoral engagement, and another large part of our intervention is having a wide range of communication. So we use our research and our work with the change agents to develop content. We have in-house capacity to develop content, as well as working with the change agents in a more participatory approach to develop content. So we do a wide range of content, everything from tweets, social media posts, and conversation starters on social media to media articles. We have partnerships with a few different media houses, to large-scale advertising pieces, which we have the capacity to develop in-house and have been shown on DSTV and on a wide range of platforms. So that's a very brief overview what we're doing. So we've had a lot of learning because this is all innovative. We're developing it as we go along, and what we're looking for is to collaborate with other organizations to use these methods and tools that we've developed and our capacity for research to help support the work of other organizations. So that we want to apply these and co-create with other organizations.
Thank you so much, Jenny. We appreciate that. I'm intrigued by the social media listening to. Incredible stuff. Okay, thanks so much. I'm going to ask Tabang Baloy and Carol Sibanyoni from Impact CSR. Are you here? Or there? I see Tabang.
Hi, everyone. Tabang will be joining us, I think, at about 11.
He's here and he's on mute talking.
He's spotlighted. Go for it, Tabang.
Yeah, it's Carol. Can everybody hear me? Oh.
Well, we see Tabang. Carol, we see Tabang. Thanks, Carol. We just, Tabang is also connected and he's spotlighted. We can hear you as well. But whoever can start, can go ahead. Thanks so much.
Okay, let me just start and then Carol will do the presentation. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tabang Baloy, the founder of Impact CSI, a non-profit organization. Carol, who is our board member, will just take us through what our organization is, what it does. But for this particular collaboration and networking, we focus on the boy child. Carol, you can take over. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tabang. So as Tabang has mentioned, we are a non-profit organization, and our vision is to be a leading corporate social investment partner within the South African communities and the globe. So we aim to achieve our vision by focusing on the 4 objectives that we have. And these objectives include our psychosocial initiative, the ICT initiative, our social entrepreneurship initiative. But for the sake of this presentation, we will talk about the boy child initiative. So how did it come about that we focus on the boy child initiative? So we have a problem statement which states that when you look at South Africa, our historical background shows us that apartheid has a negative effect on the moral of boys. And that when you look at our prisons, they are full of men who grew up without their fathers. And we see a lot that gender-based violence is caused by the absence of a father figure in most children. We also see some of fathers who are not allowed to see their children because of the discrepancies that young mothers have with their ex-partners. And then, as I mentioned before, that most boys become perpetrators of gender-based violence because of the lack of fatherly guidance. So in order to respond to the previously challenges that I just mentioned, what we do as Impact CSI, we want to provide spiritual intervention to these boys. We want to instill the fear and the reverence of God. We want to instill holiness within the boy child. We want to empower the boy child with the 3 other initiatives that I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, which include the information and communication technology skills, our psychosocial interventions, and our social entrepreneurship. And then we also address the issues of addiction. We also address the issues of emotional challenges as well. And how are we doing all these things? We started by having a workshop, which took place on the 20th of March at Diepkloof Hall, whereby we had a number of 250 boys that we invited. So the main of the workshop was to find out from young men what it is, what it feels like to have a father, and also what are the effects of not having a father. So we did our own evaluation and assessment, and then these this is what we found out from the boys, from the question that we asked in terms of having a father and not having a father. A lot of boys indicated that there is lack of guidance if one grows up without a father. Lack of fatherly love, lack of emotional support, discipline, and a lack of a positive role model. We did have a small number of boys who said they grew up with their fathers and they're still staying with their fathers. And the opposite of these negative factors is what we found from them, as they indicated that they have discipline, they're learning a good role model, and they're also getting fatherly love and guidance from their fathers. After the workshop, what we provide now is mentorship for our boys. And then we are looking at initiating a Take a Boy Child to Work program. We offer psychosocial services, especially rehabilitation, drug rehabilitation for our boys, as well as the ICT workshops. We have a few partners that assist us. We have Love Life. We are partnered with EnviroParks. We have the City of Johannesburg, Social Development, Kunjulwa Managed Services, and Mentor Foundation. So I don't have a screen where you can see our contact details. But for more information on us, you can email Pastor Thabang, who's our founder, at tbaloi08@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Maybe you can put the email address on the chat. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we would appreciate that. We will move ahead. I've been waiting for this one because there's Grant Begumuzi here. I want to hear from Grant Begumuzi. He is from Masivusele. Hey, sharp. Over to you. Grant, over to you. The stage is yours. Please tell us about the work that you guys are doing in your organization.
Thank you. We all wrestle with identity issues. So my father in Cape Town, he suggested we all change our names and include, we should all have a Muslim name, we should all have an African name and an English name, just to level the playing fields. Then we'll be BE compliant. That's an aside, but I do say to you that I have become aware that I'm a father because, I act like my father acts. I have one wife. That's important in KZN you state that, because of course this province, you can have as many wives as you want to as a father. I'm not sure that's helpful. We would want more than one wife, or we could manage one. But I have one wife, and she will change my behavior by saying to me, "You're acting like your father now." Now that is a complete diss that then gets you to stop acting like your father. But I humbly suggest to you that change awareness has really helped me and the organization Masivusile that I work for, that we founded, to help fathers deal with their past and how their fathers did or didn't role model positive fatherhood behavior. And I humbly suggest that as a piece of this puzzle, that unless you address your own father issues, which I constantly do and reflect on, it's quite hard to be a father too. I have two young boys. I'm an older parent, and my children are there to daily humble me. Just recently, my youngest put a sticker on my back, and it basically just said "slap me," and he thought it was hysterical, and I was slapped for a whole day by people who saw my sticker on my back. So that's the kind of thing that children do, and that's why we have children. But onto the program that we are very passionate about. Masivusile Partners, we're a very small, new ministry, and we look for inspiring programs that are doing the work and then try and share their story. And the story I want to share with you is the story of an organization called Itemba Projects. Very simply, I'll put up on the screen, I think the key part of what they do. Here is an overview of the Itemba projects. It is a community just outside of Pietermaritzburg. The opening 3 statements, we believe helping mostly creates dependency. At Itemba projects, we empower people to bring the lasting change their community dreams of, because when change is sustainable, all of us will win. So there are 4 projects that Itemba are trying to do in one community, which is the highest HIV-infected community in the world. We are humbly hoping that by 2033, the next generation will completely restore this community called Sweetwaters. How are we doing that? Well, we're focusing on ECD, but it's the second program that I think has relevance to us today, as we discuss, is we're giving all the children in Sweetwaters a loving adult role model. We are truly inspired by the Harvard Center for Development that came out many years ago and made the following statement that we believe: the single most common factor for children who develop resilience is at least one stable and committed relationship with a supportive parent, caregiver, or other adult. So when we work with fathers, we simply say to them, are you there when your son or your daughter is about to choose to drink? Are you there when your son or daughter is about to choose to have sex for the first time? Are you available when they're about to loot? And we believe that there are crucial moments in kids' lives where they develop resilience. And so at Itemba, we keep showing up. We have 25 mentors who, I'm just trying to go back to my screen, stop sharing there and go back to this screen. Okay, so yeah, we teach all the life skills to 1,000 grade 7 and 8 students in the community of Sweetwaters. And out of those life skills, we then build small groups, and we employ 25 mentors. Most of them are Zulu males, most of them are young Zulu males, and they're doing that work that we believe fathers should do. Are they there for those crucial moments? Our hero is a guy in New York called Jeffrey Canada. Some of you may know him. He founded the Harlem Children's Zone. He and his team have transformed whole blocks of flats in the inner city of New York, where the African-American role model is now not the traditional one. It's of a loving adult role model. And what he did, Jeffrey, is he stayed focused on one block of flats, and he went long and deep, and he started with early child development and mentoring the ages 12, 13, 14. And that's our theory of change in Sweetwaters. We need to work with 60% of the children in Sweetwaters. At the moment, we're only working with 22% of them. Only 22% of them have a role model. We need to get to 60%, and that's our passion. When we get to 60%, we think the next generation will change the whole of Sweetwaters and restore it. So that's our theory of change. We look forward to collaborating. We like people to come and visit us in KZN. And we're hoping this event, and I get to tell the story. I wear 2 hats. I'm in Masikuzilele, but I also work for Itemba. And so, yeah, just looking forward for connections and how we can tell our story after this. So thank you for listening.
Oh, wow, thanks so much, Grant, Begumuz. It's an amazing work that you guys are doing. I love Jeffrey Canada. Yeah, incredible work that they're doing in the US. So now over to Save the Children with Cassandra Lebea. Are you here?
Hi, yes, Olivia, I'm here. Thank you. Morning again to everyone. My name is Cassandra, and I'm with Save the Children under the Child Protection Unit. I will be sharing my screen as well. Please let me know if you can see it. Yes, thank you. So Save the Children is a child rights
Sorry,
based.
Cassandra, it's blank. I see it.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Yes, Save the Children South Africa is a child rights-based organization, and we just ensure that we recognize children's rights as part of human rights, and we focused on the marginalized, vulnerable, and other children in need, working to protect their rights and holistic needs as children. And we just ensure that we create platforms where their voices can be heard, prioritized, and where they can take ownership of their issues, but through working with their custodians and guardians. So we serve as an advocate for children in collaboration with other stakeholders through influencing national policies and advocating for children's rights. So we have the following programs where we focus on child protection, education, and health. But for the purpose of this session, I will speak to child protection. We run programs on positive parenting and positive discipline with parents, traditional leaders, religious leaders, and other CSO or civil society organizations, where our main focus is, speaking to the United Nations Council on the Rights of the Child, Article 19, on ensuring that, children are protected from all forms of violence and physical and humiliating punishment. So we work with fathers and mothers by them attending these positive parenting sessions, and our target group is children, but we do this through working with adults within the child protection unit. So I think the lessons and gaps that we've seen so far is that when working with other civil society organizations, we can do more. So we have collaborated with Mencare and Sonke Gender Justice in terms of being able to reach fathers. We don't have a very strong strength on working with fathers, so we usually collaborate and partner with organizations that work with fathers to be able to reach fathers and just include it in our positive parenting interventions. So we are also part of the SEPIN network forums, which is the South African Positive Parenting Network, where we would, meet with all these organizations that target fathers, because that has been the gap that, we have been struggling with for a while. When we do the positive parenting sessions, we would, invite all parents, but, the challenge we've been experiencing was that, only mothers come, and, the gap of reaching fathers is still there. So, and also just ensuring that we partner and collaborate more with organizations that offer psychosocial support, because we don't offer direct services, but we do interventions that will strengthen policies and just strengthen the referral systems within communities, and just I guess ensuring that communities take ownership of programs and being more involved. We have a model that we use where we would recruit, change agents within the communities, which are young people who will then run these trainings, and maybe they are affiliated to some of the community-based organizations where, we would train them to be able to run these sessions. Mostly it'll be, with dialogues, where we have dialogues with men, we have dialogues with boy children, and it's just events we have maybe once or twice a year. Because, as I said, we don't have a very, we don't have strength much in working with fathers. So we collaborate more with organizations that do that. And I think the other gaps that we've had, as I mentioned, struggling to reach more fathers in most of our parenting programs, and scaling up on, some of the programs that we have, and reaching men has been a challenge due to issues of, staff capacity, and just not being able to measure enough impact to, to show that, these programs work and can be scaled up. And just the issue of having to offer psychosocial support to our beneficiaries, and demand for expansion, especially nationally, because we work in 5 provinces And, when we do share our work, we are often asked, why don't we work everywhere, since, they expect us to work everywhere as a big organization, and just not having enough capacity to work with children or persons with disabilities, because we do have, where we meet parents who are living with disabilities who would want to be part of our programs, but we do not have enough capacity to run sessions with them, especially, fathers and mothers. And I think in ways to connect and collaborate with other organizations, we would like to work more with other society organizations that share the same goals with us, and mostly the ones that would, work with fathers and have a strong, that have strong strength in that part, and just collaborating with other community-based organizations in relevant, communities for sustainability, and measuring impact to allow for scale up of our programs so that they can be, adopted maybe by relevant government departments, and to be able to, allow for opportunities for future funding. And maybe, as partners and civil society organization, combining resources where we would have a model of see civil society organizations working together and, documenting the lessons and processes for, evidence-based programs that we are doing. Okay. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Cassandra. We appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Now I'm going to hand over to Pamela from Heartlines. So I see Temba Dlamini is not with us today. I've got two lists in front of me, so it looks like he is indeed not with us. So over to you, Pam, from Fathers Matter.
Hi, Oli. Thank you. Just going to share my screen. Okay. I'll try and be very, very brief, but so lovely to see you all, and thank you for joining us today. So why do fathers matter? I think we basically have been on this journey since 2018, well, long before then. If you know Heartlines and the work that we do is we identify a social issue that we then undergo a research process in order to inform our intervention. So initially, before we went into fatherhood, it started off as we wanted to look at family and what's happening in that area. And as we looked at literature, both on the continent and globally, the issue of fatherhood kept coming up very strongly. So we all know on this call that children that grow up without a positive male presence in their lives are at a risk of multiple issues, such as mental illness, substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, poor educational and economic outcomes. So we are all on the same mission to try and lessen the risk that our children face. So that is basically the journey that we started on. And in 2018, we undertook a formative research process because we wanted to understand for ourselves, beyond the literature, what are the key barriers to fatherhood. And so this is how we've ended up here today. But our big and broad goal is to ensure that at least 1 million South African men are actively and positively present in their children's lives. It's a big goal. We're not going to achieve it in a year, certainly not in 2 years, but that is our ultimate goal, is actually to even exceed that numbers, to get more and more men in South Africa being actively engaged in their children's lives. Okay, Okay. So like I said, we undertook a formative research process in 2018 across 4 provinces where we wanted to understand for ourselves what are the key barriers to participation for fathers. And the biggest one was actually a knowledge gap. And not a lot of people understand the risk that children are possibly going to be placed under if a man is not involved in their children's lives. So there was a knowledge gap. People often say, yeah, fatherhood is becoming nice to have, in a sense, if I can put it in layman's terms. Provision was a big one. The entry point to fatherhood in South Africa is provision. If you are unable to provide for your child, especially, I mean, look at the economic times we find ourselves in. That means fathers are often excluded from participation because they are not able to provide for that child. We also found out that there was a skills gap. Many men just did not know what to do because they were not fathered themselves. They either said, this is a job that my partner will do, who is female. It's not something that I do. My role is to bring money into the home and not to change nappies. I sat through all those focus groups, and it was just so interesting to pick up some of the things that came up. And another key thing was that, key institutions like that we find, such as churches and so forth, were not, they either lack the resources or are not well positioned, because maybe there's a knowledge gap as well, to begin to tackle this issue head on. And then we also obviously found out that culture, a lot of men that we spoke with said certain cultural practices were barriers, such as paying intlaulo, such as lobola. It came up that a lot of men said, I cannot participate because I haven't paid intlaulo. So it goes back to that, money conversation that happened earlier there around provision. So, I mean, our primary target audience is obviously fathers. We want more and more fathers being positively engaged in their children's lives. But we also want to start the conversation with young boys and girls around, expectations around what does it mean to be a father? We cannot expect as South Africans to suddenly, when people are adults, to expect them to act in the right way. And that's why I believe so strongly with some of what the partners were saying around ECD plays such a crucial role in starting to form those positive associations around what does it mean to be a father? What does it take? So young children, young boys and girls are a huge target audience for us. Women are a target audience for us because we found out in our research, our formative research, that women can often play, Women can often play a gatekeeping role where fathers are concerned. It came up very strongly, and even in the work with the State of South Africa's Fathers Report, it comes out quite strongly. And also our target audience is the ecosystem around the father. So obviously the father doesn't live in isolation, the father lives within a community. And so it's therefore important that we are working with churches and other organizations at community level and equipping them with our resources in order for them to support the father, in order for them to begin to have those conversations with the youth, in order for them to begin to engage women around some of the barriers that were picked up. So quickly, our project objectives are to really improve knowledge. Obviously, our objectives are rooted in our barriers. So we wanted to improve knowledge and understanding on the important role that fathers and father figures play in the overall well-being of children. Our main goal is to do that. And then our second one is to strengthen the networks of people and organizations in the sector working to build and share knowledge. So part of these networking events and why they're so important for us is there isn't a single large-scale intervention on fatherhood that I'm aware of in South Africa, but we are all working towards the same thing. We are all working towards strengthening, aiming at the father. So part of these network events are to build this network, all of us to begin to collaborate in order to begin to shift the dial on some of the issues that fathers are facing in this country. And our third objective is to provide accessible information and skills to men who want to be present. Once again, going back to my barriers slide, some men simply don't know how to or what to do. Okay, so I must play with the child, then what? So part of what we're seeking to do with our project is to provide that accessible information and skills. And lastly, is to develop a program that will support men to mentor each other in places of faith, in the workplace, and in other settings where men gather. It also came out very strongly from our research that men want together. Men want together. They often said, we don't have the opportunities to come together and talk around our issues, our own fatherhood, our own father wounds, or how do we father? How do I navigate this journey? So a huge part of our objective is to develop programs that call men to come together and to have conversations around their experiences. So our offering, we've got a range of platforms, which is our website. We've got a WhatsApp platform, and we've got regional reps. These are our people around the country that are helping us, talk about our offerings. And then we've got social media that basically, through those platforms, we are able to share our Connect Group resource. So this is a resource that allows men for a period of time. So the one that we have, which is our first resource, is a 5-week session resource where men can gather together, and there's a range of questions that take you through each session. So session 1, for instance, is you unpacking your own fatherhood journey and how it impacts the way that you father. So it's a very reflective resource, and it is one that helps the father to look back, to come back to the present and look forward and realize and ask himself, what is it that I can change now in order to become a better father? It's never too late. And we've got something we call Tips for Dads. So Tips for Dads basically were created to fill that skills gap that I mentioned in our objectives and also in our barriers slide. And then we've got an online community of fathers through our Fathers Matter Champions Facebook group, which is an online community we're building with fathers. It is strictly for fathers. And there we share father-related content. So if you are also on this call, you've got resources, you've got anything that you'd want us to share, with our fathers. We launched this in June. We're currently sitting at 230 fathers, last time I checked, on that group that we are basically feeding back information around fatherhood. We also, as a media organization, have actually last year went through a script writing process where we developed 6 scripts that were inspired by our research and inspired by some of the barriers that I mentioned in our barriers slide. So obviously, films, storytelling is at the core of who we are at Heartlines, and sometimes we can develop resources, we can have the conversations, but it is until people see themselves projected, see their lived experience on a big screen, that they're able to begin to ask themselves questions and begin to shift attitudes and behaviors, and ask themselves, where am I in my fatherhood journey and what can I do better? So we are hoping to go into production for those 6 films. And it's going to be obviously a mass media campaign, and we would obviously love to share that with you once it is concluded. But we are in that process. Hopefully in 2022, we'll go into production. And also part of our offering is having these networking sessions. So this is our 2nd networking session. We're going to have 1 more for the rest of the year. And the whole idea is that at some point is to invite all the organizations we've met along this journey and to have one big event where we can literally, God willing, we can begin to interact in person, hopefully. So that is the big aim. And the big aim is from next year onwards, we're hoping to shift the dial on how we do these networking meetings, that they're not just we come and we talk about our organizations and how we can collaborate. Obviously, that's important. But we also want to begin to identify what are those key issues that we, say, for instance, myself and Fathers Matter, Save the Children, and Hikeza can create a working steering group on a particular issue that we can begin to brainstorm solutions or even choose to go at it at an advocacy level. So we're going to begin to do this differently from next year onwards. This was just our second one that we are looking at, but we'll be in touch. We'll communicate any of the changes and how you get involved as an organization. How we want to collaborate is obviously for you as an organization that are here, is to look at our resources on our website, is to engage with our WhatsApp platform. If you have access to a group of fathers and are in need of resources, we want to be able to get those resources in your hands in order to empower those fathers. When our films are ready and available, we want to get those films in your hands so you can begin to share those films with men in your community and begin to have those conversations that need to be had. So our biggest thing is we would love to share our resources with you. We would love for you to share our resources with us. Send us your learnings. What have you learned along this journey? Because, we just basically want to learn from you, receive your resources, empower the men that we have access to, and for you to access our resources and empower the men that you have access to. That is me in short. Thank you so much, Oli.
Thanks so much, Pam. I hope everyone is getting a sense that we are onto something here, and we need each other. We cannot achieve this insurmountable task on our own. We need one another, and it's been wonderful to hear the diverse, interventions and the way that each organization is tackling the challenges that we are facing in terms of fatherhood. So with that said, I'd like to just indicate one thing as well. There will be a survey link that is going to be posted on the chat. Please click on it and do rate how you've experienced this networking session. Now we're going to spend some time just reflecting on all that was presented to us by different organizations. But before we spend that time, we're going to play a video, just a short video of our Fathers Matter promo and campaign. And over to Andile, who is going to play that video for us. It's just a short version, and I hope that inspires you. Thank you so much.
My dad never misses an opportunity to say, you're gorgeous, you're intelligent, you are everything in a bag of chips. Having my dad around was so important because he taught me what I'm worth from the perspective of a male.
He has given me a lot of strength.
Becoming a father, wow, God, thank you for the opportunity and the privilege of being a father.
I try to change things. I want the best for my kids.
My grandpa is very nice and I love him.
It's a great joy to be a grandparent.
In the work that I do with offenders, you can see that there's a huge gap that is missing. Like you see that a father figure is needed for them to be better persons.
If I could be a tenth of what my father was, I'll probably be the best father in the world.
Thank you so much. It's got such a feel-good music in the background there. Something positive, for us fathers, because the dominant narrative there is not so positive. So thanks, Heartlines, for giving us such a feel-good music that accompanied that video. I like what the last guy said. If I can be 10 times what my father, a tenth of what my father was, I'll probably be the best dad in the world. Sure. Yeah, I'm in the long version of that video. His part really moves me. So Pam, well done to the team for putting that video together. Yeah. So friends, we have some exciting plans in terms of Fathers Matter in 2021, and would like to share those with you via email. So please do feel free to connect with us to share your ideas for possible collaborations. Pam has mentioned those that opportunity as well. So do connect with us, but we also want to share those videos. I mean, those resources with you guys. So we're gonna transition now into some reflection time. Would like to hear your thoughts on how our group session was. If there's anything in particular that stood out for you, would like you to share that as well. And we really want to make sure that these networking events are useful for you. So to help us do that, be grateful if you could please access the survey. I think Andile is going to share that link via the chat now. Is it there now? Please do click on that chat, on that link, and share with us your thoughts around this networking session. But yeah, maybe just opening it up. Is that okay if we open it up? We're gonna close, but I want to open it up just in terms of how you felt, what jumped up, what stood out from any organization that presented on the platform today. So raise your hand and let's get some feedback, and we'll then lead towards the close of this awesome networking session we've had. I'm sort of going to put you guys on full screen so I can see. Oh, Pam's not a virtual hand. Your hand is up. Go for it, Pam.
I think for me, it's always encouraging to hear, because you're working within your program for so long, and all you see are your objectives and what you're trying to do. I think it's always so encouraging to see what other people are doing, what technologies they're using, to try and solve social issues. I think for me, it's quite encouraging, and it refreshes me to go back and see, okay, so where are the gaps? Where can we take learnings from some of these organizations and incorporate in our own? Or what can I take from the Save the Children parenting notebook and share with our fathers? What can I take from what Mitch is doing around ECD? So, for me, there's a range of things that popped up for me, but I'm quite intrigued by the innovative ways in which people are trying to solve the social issues that we face. So I'm refreshed. Thanks.
Sure. Refreshed is a beautiful word. Pam has got a ball of string. Remember in doing this workshop, we used to have this ball of string. We would toss it to the other side of the circle. You grab it and we'll form a net. And that's what we do. So I'm going to ask Pam, instead of getting a volunteer to raise their hands, thanks for opening it up. So I want you to throw that ball of string somewhere across the screen. Who are you going to throw the ball of? Prajan is smiling because you know what I'm talking about. Who are you going to throw it to?
I'm throwing it all the way to Cape Town from Johannesburg.
Stop!
I'm assuming that Steph is in Cape Town, so I'm throwing it all the way to Steph in Cape Town.
They'll do the Capster dance. Go for it.
Thanks, Pamela. I'm glad you went first, but you were in my mind to throw the ball of string to as well. The kind of possibility across all what everybody's doing of really, really bringing that to scale. You can't ever take away from what happens in physical interaction. But what we do have is we have abilities to engage with people on scale, and particularly people who are on site, like mentors and stuff like that, where we can start talking in the tens of thousands of people being involved, and being able to get information to them, being able to provide them with resources, being able to extract monitoring and evaluation, and just really like turn the system amplified by measures of zero. And the content that you've already got and the programs that I've already seen here can all go next level with that kind of engagement. I haven't really spoken. It's the first time I've come across him, and we'll pick up, I'm sure, after this meeting. But Pamela, I want to respond to your request about taking this process forward and seeing how we can embrace each other. That makes us all bigger together. Thanks.
Wow. Thanks so much, Steph. I see I had two lists, so I had another one on the chat, and so I'm so sorry that I did not ask you to do your presentation. So I do apologize.
Steph is part of the He Cares project.
Also
he's the director of the He Cares project. Okay. So I was doing the presentation, and
so sorted. Okay, I am not going to be whipped after this. Okay, so I'm safe. No. Okay. All right. So where are we tossing the ball of string to then? You're on mute. Steph, I could do lip reading. I don't know how to do it.
I already mentioned Mitch's name, so I think I must be throwing it at him.
Go, Mitch.
Thanks, Steph. Good to grab the ball of string. I think from my side, I think it's very much in line with what Pam was saying. This, just, I guess, hearing different people's perspectives and what they're doing, and really understanding that there's not one silver bullet solution idea we can kind of get behind. Like, it's just really encouraging and interesting and invigorating to hear the multiple different kind of multi-pronged approaches to the fatherhood challenge that we face in this country, and just realizing the need for that. Like, it's quite multifaceted and layered, and there's not like one solution. It's not going to solve it all. We need all different solutions to address it. So really encourage you to hear from everyone. It would be great from Heartlines point of view if you can share the just contact details of everyone on this call afterwards. We definitely want to pick up on a couple of conversations and take things forward. But thanks again for organizing.
Thanks so much. Throw the ball of string somewhere. I see there's quite a few options you've got there on the screen. If you've got
grants in case it in.
Yeah, Begumuz.
Throw it up there.
Thanks, Mitch. I grew up in Cape Town, so I occasionally mourn not being able to walk up the mountain. We all need encouragement at this time, so thank you for everyone encouraging each other, that we share a passion for fathers. I think one of the questions we ask regularly is what's working against us if we're going to create a movement of fathers who own their responsibilities. And the complexity of the answer to that question really humbles me. So I say to you that I wish technology created the big scale change that it often promises. But my own experiences and what we're hearing from our community of Sweetwater is that it's just so long. It requires 10 to 15 years of just walking with people in relationship to build the trust, to create the new role models. And I think I'm just humbled constantly of how hard it is to do role modeling, particularly with fathers, because there's so many things working against us coming together and creating positive role models. So forgive me for being the reality checker. I'm not usually, but I think we've got to keep asking. And the reason we ask that question in December regularly is that if you know what's working directly against you, then maybe you can come with an influence or a strategy to directly deal with that. So in Nkosi Zondi, the local chief, I mean, Zulu chiefs get a bad name, but he's a 75-year-old amazing patriarch who has given us feedback regularly in Sweetwaters that that's what he needs. He needs male role models because he doesn't have generations behind him. And so we just keep listening to that and going, but it's so hard in Nkosi Zondi. He says, just keep going, please. I've seen what you're doing. Keep putting these male Zulu role models in place. So I suppose I'm just affirming the human connectedness that is part of who we are is really the hard work. We just got to keep showing up in our communities, at our events, when hardly anyone comes. And if they do come, some of them have been drinking, which we know is the national sport of South Africa, is how to loot top stores and get away with it. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you. I'm passing the string across to Andre.
Yeah, back to Cape Town. It's like doing the coastal.
Yeah, back in Cape Town. Good place to be. Firstly, I just want to thank everybody. It's just good to know that we can be part of a network, which I think is so important. I'm a pastor as well, and I just understand that the next move of God is not going to be in institutions, but I believe in an underground network of disciples starting movements. And I think disciple movements of father making and raising sexually healthy children is something that I live for, and I'm going to die for probably. I think for me, just in hearing the stories, I hear the heart's cry that most of us have, and that is for the pain that we see our nation in around gender-based violence, around gender issues that are now wanting to be passed at a government level, around marriage and the inclusion of non-covenantal Christian marriage as being the basic premise for a healthy family. And my heart is so burdened and deeply pained, and it's just good to know that I've got others around me that can carry that. And if we can all put our hands together and work with each other, I'm very grateful that I have lots of people from this interaction that I can hopefully call on. And so it's been very good for me. And God bless you all in what you're doing. And may we be able to work together and see a shift in our nation. Thanks. I'm going to throw the ball to Tabang Baloi.
Go for it, Tabang. Sina, he said it, he's added Tabong. Huh? Tabang.
Ah, okay.
No, she knows what I'm talking about. It used to be a kids program on TV. Go for it, guys. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah.
Yeah, just like everyone else, just want to thank Heartlines for creating this opportunity. It was very enlightening and inspiring as well, to know that we are not the only ones who feel like this, for our fathers and our boy children out there. Thank you for this opportunity, and we're just excited about the new relationships that we're going to form together. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass to Cassandra.
Hi, thank you. And yes, I think I share, the same sentiments with most people here. And I'm happy that, we were invited to be part of this. And I will take back to my organization most of, the different things that each and every organization shared. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned also is to, we need to maybe also change how we do things in terms of reaching fathers as Save the Children from, the information that Pamela shared, and maybe with the resources that you shared, they'd be, very helpful, because we also have a positive parenting group on Facebook, and I think we lack, resources for fathers. We have fathers in the group, and it's a high number. So it would be good to get these resources and, share them on our group. Maybe they will also, spark engagements, and we see how we can collaborate more. So yes, thank you so much. Who do I need to pass the string to now? I'm just, I think Nicole.
Thank you, Cassandra. I have the string in my hands. I want to start by saying, Olifile, you are one of the most magnificent hosts I've experienced in many, many, many online Zoom webinars and engagements. I want to celebrate you and thank you for that. And then just to say, I feel honored and I feel richer for having been part of this conversation and listening to this conversation. It might sound silly to say, I mean, the assumption might be that as a funder, it's relatively easy for us because we've got all this money and we get to spend this money and we get to support people. But with that money comes a lot of responsibility. With that power comes a lot of responsibility. And so I feel richer for having a little bit more insight into how we can spend that money in a way that is really effective and that's going to be impactful for your work and obviously ultimately for fathers and for their children. So I'm just really grateful for the opportunity, and we look forward to engaging with you some more as we move forward. And I'm going to throw that ball to Simone.
Simone, you're going to have to show your public face.
Okay, if my neighbor comes onto the balcony, okay, you can't see that. You might see a mop in the background, but hey, 2021, right? I think it's just so encouraging, as everybody was saying, to hear everybody's the various interventions that you're doing, and it all forms part of a larger kind of net or web that strengthens the fabric of society, I guess, ultimately, which is what we're working towards. And I love that everybody is willing to listen, because also having worked in the NGO space before this, with funding and stuff like that, I know that NGOs have a tendency to become silos, and so they don't collaborate. And I think you're weaker for it. And sometimes the lack of collaboration, it's faster to do things to accomplish objectives. But in the long term, you'll only, as the proverb goes, the one that's printed on sugar packets, etc., if you want to go far, go together. And I do pray that this kind of thing sparks something like that, where you're listening, talking, collaborating, and accomplishing a very difficult, admittedly, objective at the end of the day. It might take years, but yeah, well done for listening to each other. It's lovely to see.
And Jenna, you're next, I think. Yeah, let's throw to Jenna.
Yeah, I think I share the same sentiments as everyone. I feel really inspired after hearing all the great work that everyone is doing. And we all know these issues, there's so much complexity around them. So I think everyone is holding kind of different pieces of the puzzle. And if we come together, we'll all be stronger. And so I feel inspired and very excited about opportunities for collaboration. How can we pull together our resources and our different methods and way of working to strengthen each other and increase the impact of all the work that we're doing, and so sharing knowledge, resources, methods, and to really come together. And it's really exciting thinking about all the opportunities and possibilities that presents.
Sure. Wow, that's incredible. It's been wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to do my closing remarks, but you know what? We won't let you go just like that. We need you guys to show your camera, or put your cameras on, so we can take a group picture. Huh? Please, group picture. Everyone, please unmute your camera. Show us your wonderful faces.
Unmute your camera.
You know, unmute your camera. Okay, put your camera on. Okay, Pam. Yeah, online meetings. We are here now. We're gonna take a group pic. And Andile, are you ready? Do you want them to smile, do anything?
Everyone just smile and wave. People just smile and
wave. Okay. I want the Cubs leakies to come. Da come the Alibaba, come from this year. January,
Excellent.
February, March, April, May, June, July. You good? It's all right. It's all done, right? Excellent. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, on behalf of Heartlines, we would like to thank each and every one of you and the organizations you are representing. We'd like to thank our funder, Oak Foundation, for making this event possible. And before we say goodbye, a reminder that this session was recorded and a link will be shared with everyone who attended. In closing, let's continue to connect, collaborate, and grow as we promote the active and positive presence of men in the lives of children. For me, signing out from the west end of Johannesburg, Rodie Poort, Bayadanki, Siyabonga, and may the Lord richly bless every one of you guys. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Bye-bye, everybody.